Greetings, greetings. Send you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary, and it's an interesting moment. So I just decided to go live. So let's get some water. So I just got hit by a car. I just got hit by a car. Maybe almost an hour ago, I got hit by a car. I've never gotten hit by a car before. So I was just sitting here. Um, just running it back over in my head and just thinking part of me is like um, in disbelief. Of course, I'm I'm extremely grateful that I'm okay, and so many different thoughts going through my head. So, and I was looking so cute here too, my little dress too. So, my shoulder is actually like really hurting, but I went to the hospital already, so nothing is broken. It's not fractured. They did a series of movement assessment tests to assess that nothing was broken or fractured. Because I'm very protective of my body temple, right? You only get one, and I've worked in numerous professions, as well as seeing family members that are stricken from obesity, amputations from diabetes, being in the personal training field, working in the holistic health field. I've seen so much that, I'm very protective of my body, and I'm very careful. So for those of you that have never been to the channel, welcome. This is Body-Culinary. I am a personal trainer, professional chef, natural born woman, but shout out to whatever your expression is. And on this channel, I share my journey of radical self-acceptance, motivation and inspiration to start a garden because it's so therapeutic for many other reasons as well. Motivation to start a personal movement practice or to restart, cultivate a personal movement practice because it's so therapeutic, as well as I encourage peaceful consumption. I'm not really fixated on whatever labels people like to call themselves, because you could be eating raw vegan. That doesn't mean that you're a nice person. And I acknowledge that everyone is on their own journey. So I really invite you to respect, just like you're respecting your unique, divinely assigned expression out here on this earth plane. I really invite you to respect your own process. I think that is it's much more important, grounding, and can guide you more than just watching everybody on YouTube. You can find some things that resonate with you, try them on for size, but ultimately, each one of us will find our sweet spot. So that's what I share on this channel. So anyway, I'm sashaying Shantae to the market, and I'm crossing the street where there is a speed bump. And I look both ways because it's not as many traffic lights here, and it's a high traffic area. So sometimes I wonder if I'm being overly cautious, because I'm one of those protocol people. I'm looking both ways, and I'm crossing the street, and actually taking a leisurely stroll. And I was actually just thinking, I'm moving even slower than usual just to enjoy my dress and the day. And I'm just walking to the market. The next thing I know, I'm looking at the sky and I hit the ground so hard, like I'm in shock. Like I'm walking across the street. Next thing I see, I'm looking at the sky, and my body, it's surreal actually. This is very surreal. And I'm hitting the ground. So I'm on the ground. My little two Afroloc buns with the gold braid, look, knocked it clean out of my hair, knocked my hairstyle. So I'm giving thanks. I can smile right now, but knocked it clean out of my head. So my little straw bag and everything, I'm just sitting on the ground. And so folks are coming out of the shop. The gentleman that hit me, he said, "I'm so sorry. By the time I saw you, it was too late." And so I'm sitting on the ground, right, kind of in disbelief, and also internally, because I have this practice. See, your little practices will serve you. I'm internal, listening to my breathing, right, because my thoughts could go here, because in my mind, fear could come up. I always say to look up the 6 basic fears. Fear is coming up, and I'm just thinking, my mind is thinking like, oh my gosh, my body. This is how I live, through my body, and that's, that's real. So I said, tell myself just to breathe, and to just to relax, to calm myself down, just to focus on breathing and what can I do right now? What do I need to do right now? So I'm actually listening to, observing my internal dialogue, and I'm scanning my body to see what I'm feeling like, right? Where I feel pain, where I feel, I'm actually literally like almost like my eyes are closed and turned, my eyes are open, but I'm internally scanning my own body for like damage or whatever. So the guy's like, "You're okay." I'm moving very slow. And I move out of the traffic. His car is still there in traffic. I move over to the side and I'm kind of slowly scanning around me. So people come out of the veterinary clinic and some other places to see what the heck is going on. So again, I have one vantage point. Obviously, they have another, but I do know I looking at the sky and I hit the ground. So people are coming outside, and I sit. So I scoot over to the curb, and somebody says, "Well, come out of the sun because it's a really hot day. Come out." And I'm thinking, like a New Yorker, I'm not moving anywhere, right? So the man is still saying, "I'm sorry." And I'm like, I don't think he meant it. He said, "No, no, no, I shouldn't be going that fast." So he's sitting there. Somebody comes outside and offers me some water, which I drink the water. They tell me to come out of the sun, but I'm gonna sit right there. So I asked for the phone. I said, can I call my sister? So I call my sister, and she's like, "Yeah, what's up?" I'm like, "This got hit by a car." She's like, "I'll be there in a couple of minutes," right? So fortunately, I wasn't too far from home. And if I'm smiling, it's actually I'm still, a little nervous. I'm not just a little shaken. I feel kind of like shaken up. See, I'm one of these people that don't really like to acknowledge stuff, but I am. I have enough intelligence to acknowledge stuff. So she comes, and he like, "Okay." Somebody said, "You really should go to the doctor." And my sister later says that somebody saw it. Several people saw it. Somebody was like, "Yo, your sister got hit really bad." So somebody else in the neighborhood from a health food shop, stops her car and is like, What's happening? Do you need a lift?" And so I'm grateful for these other sets of eyes. The whole time I'm scanning myself, I'm like, "No, the gentleman, he took us back to get some ID and take us to, a hospital." And hopefully this can be helpful for folks as you're traveling, or perhaps if you're thinking of moving or living periodically, in other countries. There's so many things to consider. So I think the process of relaxation is so important. There's so many gossip channels. There's so much encouragement for us, and it can even seem gratifying. I get it, to go off the handle. However, I don't know that we're very strategic. I find that's the area of muscle that we can strengthen, right? To chocolate women traveling abroad, you have to think how people perceive you with locks in your hair, what you have on, perhaps how would I, if I couldn't articulate myself, or if I'm going off, if I'm yelling at the man, I'm going to sue you, how would I have been treated? So he's very apologetic. At the same time, I do know working in the health and the fitness profession, sometimes pain or trauma kicks in a whole nother level with each hour, or even the next day. So in any event, I'm like, we went to get my sister's ID. We went to a hospital. I was seen very quickly, give thanks. And to my surprise, I was actually extremely calm. I said to the gentleman, like, "What are you saying?" I said, "Excuse me, I've been hit by a car." He said, "Okay, let's get you, into a room." So the nurse takes my blood pressure and my vitals. Then the doctor comes in. He runs a series of tests, which I'm familiar with, right, from shoulder impingement, because over the years with different clients, personal training, a lot of business people, a lot of lawyers, a lot of them usually have different types of injuries. So a lot of times we do different types of testing for shoulder impingement or limited range of motion and limited mobility. Also in some of the higher end gyms, there's usually a physical therapy office on the premises. So I'm the type of person, I volunteered in physical therapy offices, and also my son's father is also a master, really excellent massage therapist and acupuncturist. So I've been, I don't know everything, but I know quite a bit from having been in the field. So this gentleman, he says, "You know what?" I'm like, "Do I need an X-ray or anything?" He asked me if I take any medication. No, I don't take any kind of medications. I don't have any kind of existing health conditions. He's like, "Well," he said, "it doesn't appear as if anything is broken or fractured, and I don't want to expose you to any kind of unnecessary radiation." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because I said I'm very protective of my body. You know what I'm saying? I need it. He's like, "No, I don't think you need it." And he said, "I could give you a shot." So I'm familiar with cortisone shots and different types of shots. But again, this is my industry. He's like, no, I don't think you need it. He said, there's another technique that I can try, if you like, called FDM, and he started talking about the fascia. So I was like, oh, he said, are you familiar? So I'm not familiar with FDM. However, I am familiar with self-myofascial release, right? A lot of connective tissue around the muscles, right? Athletes do it before. That's now why you see so many different foam rollers for fascia release, right? To remove the tightness and the stiffness of the connective tissue on the muscle. So he said, I'd like to try this technique if you're open to it. So perhaps I don't have to give you a shot. The only thing is, I said, it's uncomfortable. So yes, uncomfortable. I'm familiar with the discomfort, bring it on. So he proceeds to do some, and this I'm actually surprised for where I'm staying right now. I don't usually hear that as a consciousness on people's radar, especially when you travel internationally. So for all the folks wanting to escape to the tropics, anywhere you go, there is a trade-off. And, in the States, I'm surrounded by massage therapists and body workers and so on for years. So that's pretty progressive and unique for where I am. So I'm like, as luck would have it, I happen to have this one man. I'm like, wow, you're really bigging up the country, because that's very progressive. So he proceeded to do some work and like some acupressure to release the fascia, which gave me a little bit more range of motion. I'm being very, very ginger because it's still traumatized, it's still bruising. He's like, to ice it. I said, yes, rest, ice, elevation, compression. Okay, that's standard. I was like, so I'm gonna ice it. I already started icing it. This gentleman was asking me how old I am. So when I told him my age, he stopped in his tracks. He was like, how? So I don't really think of it as anything, to be quite honest. I'm not ashamed of my age by any means. However, I'm aware of other people, and I never thought it didn't occur to me before, but I would say now I start to notice a bit of quote unquote ageism, of people surprised by what your chronological age is. So a lot of times I don't mention it because then I can see how people behave, and I don't want it to be a deterrent from anything. So maybe perhaps for he was like, he and the nurse were like, what? And then I was thinking like, how old? Because sometimes I'll forget what my age is, because I don't think about my age. And even the nurse was like, she asked me the way she was like, are you what? How old are you? And I'm thinking like, let me check again. How old? Or what is my age? And so she ran the numbers on my my intake form. She said, yeah, that's your age. And so many thoughts are going through my mind. And one of them is this, and I've said this over the years, even with taking, eating healthy for many, many decades, whether it was when I was eating chicken and fish, I was eating very healthy, then the fish, and then when I was vegetarian, then when I was vegan many years ago coming out of high school, and then going back to poultry, all the time juicing, all the time doing some type of movement practice, then going back to vegetarian and vegan. This is why I invite people to, rather than follow people, to really get quiet and listen. You can go, if you go to 20 million people will tell you 20 different things. I think sometimes in asking people information, we could be frantically trying to shortcut the process of personal experimentation. And even before experimentation, listening to your body, right? Your scent, your secretions, whether you're from your reproductive organs, your energy level, your elimination, your sweat, your hair, your fingernails. There's so much, your bloating, your cravings. This is not just physically, it's totally connected to our emotions. We keep saying stress, 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 and it's acknowledged by science and everyone else how intellectually it is acknowledged how it affects the body, but still I observe massive disconnection. There's massive cognitive dissonance. I haven't been immune to it. However, because of observing so much trauma in the different types of professions I've been in, have made me very hyper aware, right? So there's no shortcut to your process. So the gentleman goes in, he does all of this work. I get a little bit of relief. He's like, of course, you'll ice it because, to keep any kind of swelling down. Still, he said, most likely you'll experience some bruising. Of course, I can go back if anything happens. The gentleman was very kind. The drove said he waited. I was like, "Were you on your way somewhere?" He said, "I'm not going to go anywhere until I know that you're okay." So he gave all of this information. Again, I think that was him, the type of person he is, and I think it also says for how I dealt with the situation. I'm actually, for my own well-being, more so than him, right? But also, I wouldn't want to stress him. And something I've been contemplating is how easy it is in this social media climate to go off on people. I think I observe sometimes it's not until you really get the impact, of your reactionary behavior, our reactionary behavior, our mindless behavior. It's not until you get the impact of the cost on you. It has to be some kind of pain or discomfort in order for us to change. So 30 years in food and fitness and nutrition, that's what I have observed, right? Usually it's not enough of a pain, right? Or the perceived payoff. And a lot of this is subconscious. The payoff, quite often psychologically, which could be even outrunning fear, right? Or trying to avoid pain or seeking pleasure for distraction, outweighs logic. And I think we really, really take this for granted. I don't even know if this is making sense. So when I was calming myself down, it was because I'm not interested in riling the man up. I wasn't feeling, afraid, but I'm just, cautious for myself. It wouldn't have served me to get him amped I don't think he was intentional, even if he was careless, but that wouldn't have been to my benefit. So, and I had just been thinking of this morning, in terms of going off on people, the gratification sometimes may seem like, you feel a certain kind of way, but is it really, really benefiting you? Something has, you got to be aware of the pain, and something has to occur. It's so painful in order for you to stop. And this, I connect a lot of things to mindless consumption, overeating, because a lot of it is mindless behavior. If I had been out of pocket, we would have just been triggering each other back and forth. And so my main concern is my well-being and my safety. And also, I don't want anything harm to happen to him, but I was thinking also, of myself. So the gentleman, he was very responsible. He gave all of his information, to myself and my sister. I still wanted to go to the market and do shopping and take care of errands. See, but you got to slow down and listen, because that wouldn't be acknowledging myself. So I need to go take my behind home and rest and ice it. Also, sometimes there's so many subtleties. You may not even notice. I know for me, just acknowledging, oh my gosh, something, trauma to my body, like fears can come up, thoughts can come up. A lot of times we just don't want to address. So the thought of something happening to my body, me not being mobile, that's kind of frightening. And sometimes we could habitually be avoiding these thoughts coming up. But I'm observing more and more as I let thoughts and emotions come up, it can actually be freeing, because I can, as I like to call it, I can ask fears and emotions. I can ask them questions. I even noticed that I felt like a little sad. I'm thinking like, why am I feeling sad about getting hit by a car? And I allowed the different feelings and things to come up. I allowed the thoughts of thinking of the climate of the manosphere and the womansphere and the level up and all the gender warring. And I was thinking of the climate, that we're in. I was just allowing these things to come up and to dissipate. And I think a lot of times without acknowledging these things, I think we can really underestimate all of this stuff bubbling underneath in the subconscious, what an effect it has on us. I allow the different thoughts. There's a bazillion thoughts that are going through our head every day. Thoughts of being alone. But then I also thought of some folks and even myself. You don't have to be alone, even if you're not in a romantic relationship. And even though, people say you don't trust people, do you allow these things and things blaring at you from social media to dictate how you move? You can still cultivate relationships, right? These fears. You can cultivate relationships with you and people, even if that's not blood family, you checking on each other. But those things require an investment and deposits. And still there are no guarantees. So more fears can come up. There are no guarantees. Do you not proceed because of that? You feel what I'm saying? You can use everything to your advantage, to leverage what is actually happening without going into denial of what is happening. Instead of all the time habitually running from fear, you can allow everything that's happening to you, you can actually leverage it to your advantage through sitting with your emotions. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say it. I haven't always done it, but I'm noticing from certain little habits, sometimes breathing, relax, intentional, we don't have to call it meditation, relaxation. If you start to engage in these things, however imperfectly, as you start to have a healthy curiosity about them, you may find you're more drawn to these practices, which is really being very intentional around increasing your awareness. So my shoulder is actually hurting. I was feeling a little bit of nerve pain. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, have I damaged? Who knows? Could be not, but I do know I'm resting it. I was just icing it. I'm going to ice it again. I think I'm still allowing and processing all the thoughts that are coming up around vulnerability. Now, I will say this. One of the first things my sister said was like, see, thank goodness you are fit. Thank goodness for all of those years and still all of those deposits into my physical 401k, right? For bone density. And then, because I'm thinking like, even now I'm like, the car came out of nowhere. I'm looking at the sky and I hit the ground. Even I'm like, I actually could have been out of here. So my sister's like, you dodged the bullet again, but there's been so many times between the two of us. So you can have drinking buddies, you got party buddies. She's been a dancing buddy too. But you have your buddies for different things. You might have your junk food buddies with two big eaters. But definitely a workout buddy, a fitness buddy. And I would have to say we have permission from each other. If we're looking out of pocket or an unhealthy weight, we check each other. Might not be comfortable, but this is a person I've given permission to. Do you have those types of people in your circle of influence, whether that's a coach or a best friend? I don't know today with the climate of pandering. I don't really see, I'm not talking about verbal abuse because I see some of that going on online. But do you have people in your life? Greetings. Do you have any suggestions for back pain? There's so many different things you can do for back pain. It's stress. Before I do anything, one of the first things I do, as I always like to say, what is the cause of the back pain, right? So it's easy to go online and to ask people different questions. And I've gotten this a lot over the years, particularly if I'm looking really ripped up, if I'm doing fitness competition, I show up somewhere, everybody wants to ask you personal training questions, right? And so I could really say, do this, do that. I know many ways to treat back pain, but quite often we don't go to one of the main things. I love to go to the root. What's causing it? Is it trauma? Is it your sleeping position? Is it stress? Do you have poor form when you're lifting things up, when you're lifting up packages, when you're lifting up babies? Are you dehydrated? On that note, let me take a sip. If you're dehydrated, how can synovial fluid go to your joints, right? So some of it is just a lack of awareness, a lack of some comprehensive education. We have fluid inside of the spine. And in some, we say most of the body is water, but a lot of times we're communicating on a very superficial level, right? Like, yeah, I know, it's very intellectual, but you can tell that the impact of it doesn't get us. So dehydration contributes greatly to back pain. So I don't like to just give like quick answers if I can't see somebody and I don't know what's causing it. But there are plenty of things that you can do. One of the first things I would say is to see if you can identify what the source is, what's causing it. If you accident, pain, trauma, more than likely you have a lot of tightness and stiffness in your body, right? And so without doing an investigation, you could potentially choose different types of exercises, or you can choose different things, so-called solutions that could exacerbate, right, or exaggerate the pain, or create more trauma to the area. And your back has so many different muscles: your upper back, your trapezius, your rhomboid, your lats, your longissimus. There's so many different muscles. So where the back pain is, where it's located in your body, what kind of repetitive movements you're doing, like as a chef. There's certain, with a knife, there's certain repetitive movements that I do. As a construction worker, there's certain repetitive movements that you do. So what I would say, without knowing you or seeing who you are, is I would look at, first of all, investigate. Maybe you need to do a journal. Sometimes it can be good for all kinds of things before you go to a GYN doctor, a personal trainer, anyone. To take this, so many thoughts. Everything can't be in your conscious mind at one time. Write down information, ask yourself questions. This is just a recommendation. And write it down in your journal so you can put it down on paper and you can be very objective about what's happening so you can pinpoint. A lot of times we're trying to process too much at one time, right? And we can't catch on to the thought, so we forget things. So I would first look at what is the cause, what's causing it. So then you can make a more efficient, effective decision about how you would like to approach the back pain. You know, I don't know if your back pain is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most intense. How severe is the back pain? How often is the back pain? When does the back pain show its face? When you're doing certain activities, when you're under stress, you know? So an investigation, right, I think is important. Otherwise, we keep going to all of these different people to ask quick questions when we're much more complex beings. Trauma from a fall caused coccyx and sciatica. Yeah, so that would say, I don't know. You're always welcome. My contact information, ask my sister. My contact information is there if you wanted to reach out to me privately, so I can perhaps, if you want, make some recommendations for you. But then it's also, did you go for physical therapy? Many people, when they have injuries, go for physical therapy, and because sometimes it seems like the nail salon with so many people going in and out, that they may not finish, and it may seem inconvenient, or you may feel like you're not getting anything out of the exercises. Most people do not finish the battery of physical therapy, right? Initially, you may be working with the head physical therapist, and they'll hand you off to your assistant. So many people get turned off by that and may not go through the whole battery of tests. And even after that, whatever the prescribed physical therapy is, then what is your program for, addressing that area and also strengthening the surrounding muscles, right? In addition to addressing your nutrition, right? Because you can address the physicality, but also that's not separate from what you're feeding the body. If your body is very dried out, if you're not sleeping, then your body can't really recover, or whatever you're taking, what herbs or massage, your body can't fully take it in if you're not resting and recovering, right? So we are literally holistic. We're a whole picture, a holistic, being. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that's helpful for you, but you're welcome to reach out. If there's information I don't have, I can make some other recommendations for you. So in respect, due to COVID in the UK, physiotherapy has been stopped. So, okay. So I'm very big on self-treatment because I'm a lover of massage. I've had many massages, colonics, all kinds of stuff over the years. But I've always had a mindset of when you don't have access to people, these massage therapists, or as a physical therapist, massage therapist, a lot of times they need to be worked on themselves. Personal trainers, we need to be worked on. Usually at the end of sessions when I'm stretching people, I've had clients well over 6 feet tall, big men, and I'm stretching them. So I have to learn how to leverage my body weight. That's a lot of work. So I've always, after working with so many people, I have always been very clear that I'm going to have to learn how to do certain types of treatment on myself. And interesting, because I do certain things, I had just been rolling the area before this accident today. It's with me to even say I had an accident. I had been working on that very area, similar to some of the work that the medical professional was using on me. I was actually doing that already on my own. So it was a lot of confirmation. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful right now to my mentors and my grandmothers, all of those herbal women. I was told that, I'm very big on reactivating the ways of the grandmothers. But the holistic healers, so I've gone and volunteered with them. My godparents had me go volunteer in my community 10 hours. I mean, these things that I was told to do have all been tremendous blessings to me. And I have been around a lot of healers and herbalists and so on. And I got so much information as a young woman volunteering, kind of just apprenticing under people, and then also applying a lot of things. I've done so much experimentation. I've done so much yoga. I've done so much movement, taken so many classes on my own, self-directed education on my own, because that's what I was drawn to. So all that to say, there are things that you can do for yourself to release connective tissue and pain. So I'm very clear, and I've always been very clear. I got to do stuff on myself because I can't always go to a massage therapist before this. That's what all the stuff with working out at home, that has always been my number one. I've told clients that for decades. I always, especially if you plan on being a mother, if you're a mother, you cannot wait for a gym, right? What if you don't have access to a gym? Or for my clients that travel a lot, I always make believe I don't have a gym. I don't have access to anything. So I master my space so I can get my play on. I can get my therapy on. I prioritize play over excessive furniture. I must have room and space to play, yoga mats, all my toys and tools. So that to be said, there are different types of things that you can do to release back pain on your own. You just want to make sure that you're doing it safely so that you're not pinching any nerves and you're not putting anything onto your spine. I'm trying to think if I have a myofascial release video on this channel. I might. So there are some living foods videos on this channel, and there are some exercise on this channel. And one of my specialties is corrective exercise, because again, a lot of professionals that are coming for personal training, one of their main priorities is to be pain-free and longevity, right? Before being an underwear model, their primary concern, right? They have suits on every day, is to be pain-free. A lot of them, if they're doing trading and they're looking from one computer to another, and they're doing it every day for years, that repetitive motion, it creates trauma and it creates pain. So a lot of them are more concerned with the pain relief before, trying to get a six-pack, if you will. So there are a lot of things. Perhaps I will make a video, or you're welcome to contact me. There are plenty of channels today now, like with different things for pain. So I like to be very mindful of the scope of practice and being very professional. And if you have a lot going on in your body, anybody can really throw anything at you. So I like to be a respecter of my body, my scope of practice, as well as somebody else, because I can't see you. But if you've been on your coccyx, I don't know what you've done to try to correct it, or what you've tried, or how you're sitting down. There's so many different things that you can do to give yourself relief on your own, right? And then also you may need to see a professional. So I can't really see, but there's a lot on the internet. Already just saying that you've had a fall, I can think of several things, but I'm going to be just very mindful and respectful of the scope of practice, what personal trainers, although I know a lot of what personal trainers and fitness professionals are allowed to do safely, so you're protected and somebody else is protected. So reach out to me. I don't know if my information should be there at info@body-culinary.com if you want to communicate further. So all I can say in my shoulder, it's not, I would say the pain is probably like at a, maybe say like at a 5. And but if I move a certain areas at a 6, so I have to remember that I just got hit by, I just got hit by a car. So it's going to be swelling and bruising. I'm about to go for some more ice packs on. But I was just thinking about, all of these things are very connected to me. You're welcome. Self-treatment, self-care. Again, these words like self-love, they're thrown around so much and so loosely. And I find we can be so on this internet. It seems a lot we can ruminate, right? Which is kind of like, it's obsessing without doing anything about. And somehow it seems that we can get very stuck in our mind and very intellectual and not get into action, or be so afraid of trying something that we just don't seem to get into action. So one of my things is I have made a decision many years ago to be 110% responsible for my health. So before the doctors or the physiotherapists or whatever, this body is my responsibility because I have to live with. So I'm very proactive when it comes to different toys, tools to treat myself. Way before this whole global situation went on, I always periodically, for years, I re-up to make sure I've got stuff to treat myself, being I don't like to take medications and I don't have access, when I'm traveling. For certain things I always have. I don't go anywhere. I always have stuff in my suitcase to treat myself, If I'm tight, if I'm sore, in order to work out, to have a vigorous, joyous movement practice, as I like to call it, to make sure I'm hydrated. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's a mentality, right? And I'm still learning after, I don't know how many, 3 decades, going on 4 decades. I'm still learning. I'm so humble. Because actually, I could have been out of here. I'm walking across the street. I'm looking at the sky, and I hit the ground. Like, so I don't know if it's still fully hit me. I'm so grateful. I have been continuously grateful for this lifestyle. So when people ask me, don't you ever eat this? Don't you ever do that? Clarity is worth more than its weight in gold, at least over here, right? It's not uncommon for folks to tell me that they're actually suffering or they've gotten a diagnosis all the while they're consuming something, not by not because I said so, by their own acknowledgement, that is not aligning themselves or their body with where they have identified it needs to be going in a certain direction. So rather than making it bad or wrong, that's not really my job. I don't really find that that's effective or efficient. And also, I like to have permission to, if I'm going to give someone directive, usually somebody will pay for me to tell them what they want to do. But otherwise, just to give free information, sometimes people get upset with you. It's like if you've ever been in the gym, and sometimes the trainers, they're instructed to keep you safe, and they may point out an exercise, and some people get really, really upset. So I make an effort to be mindful of having permission to come into somebody's space to give them feedback, especially when it comes to something as personal as your this living, walking, breathing temple, this suit, which we will all lay down eventually, even with the best care. I'm going to take off this human suit at some point and go into some other incarnation that I can't even tell you anything about. So I am so giving thanks. So what I would like to do right now, if anybody say you're welcome to join me on this channel, there's a playlist, right? There's Living Foods Jam Sessions where I bring you into the kitchen with me. There are some gardening videos. There's also Cocoon, right? I do have something that's called Cocoon. Oh, there's nothing to be sorry about, but thank you for the positive vibes. I make an effort to use everything. I will leverage anything to my advantage. Like, what can I learn from it, or what can I take from it? So what I'm taking from it is I'm giving thanks once again for a healthy lifestyle. And I was like, should I say something about this online? But what I'm really thinking is, I really want to encourage you. A couple of things. One, I encourage you to start immediately making some definitive, tangible deposits into the 401k of your body temple. All these outfits and the makeup and all that, I can appreciate all the makeup. I say it all the time. Make some significant deposits into the 401k of your body. So my sister's also my reminder. I knew she was like, yo, you so lucky right now. You're so fortunate. Like, she's like, yo, it's a good thing you've been working out. And so even if I'm not working out at the same, I'm not doing hours a day like I used to do years ago. And a lot of times that I was doing, it was fun because it was play. See, it occurs to me as play. Even then, you want to be very respectful of the body. But to have dense bones, you don't get fit in one workout. If anything, initially, it's here. It's mentally always going to feel better, right? Make some deposits. Everybody, especially women, I cannot express this to you enough, whether you have children or not. We all have very valid excuses not to move. However, they're valid excuses. Your valid excuses could run your life. We all have the same amount of time, and we all spend a lot of time on the internet. Sometimes now if I want to turn on the internet, I jump on my trampoline at the same time. So if you're looking for an excuse to get into action around what you say you value, you can do that. I invite you to create support for yourself. Tangible support. Support works. I have created support for me. That's one of my secret weapons, one of my astras. That's one of my secret weapons. I create support in terms of what I'm listening to, things that encourage me, and still I can be affected by this heavy, deep programming of the internet. Right? So, set yourself up to win by the things you're listening to, your sense and your sounds, and having space for you, inside of your home space. And taking care of oneself is paramount. It's paramount. It's a priority even before your children. even before your children. That's what I knew having a child. I remember, I can think of it still just like yesterday. I was like, I cannot, as someone that obesity is waiting around the corner for me, especially with only a little piece of a thyroid and the way I like to eat. Waiting for me, like, come on, come on. Mm-mm. I knew I can't give myself the excuse of not moving, which is another reason why in my home I prioritize movement over being crowded up with a whole lot of furniture. I like to roll on the floor and I want to play. I have to have it occur to me as play. So I entice myself. I make the space inviting for myself to move and to play. This is a mentality. This is a lifestyle. See, anybody can give you the exercise stuff on the surface, but yet and still, it's not sustainable if we don't you got to get your mind right to get the behind tight. Is this first. Make space, not beat up on yourself. Make space. Make space so you can make it interesting, exciting. Some basic comprehensive education. Invest in yourself and find some coaches that you respect and that you trust and that know what the heck that they're doing, where they're motivating and they also have some inspiration for you. That can be online, that can be in person. Invest in support, invest in education. I've been investing for years. Invest in yourself. If you can purchase all of these clothes and stuff, you can actually afford a coach. I did one of my income tax checks several decades ago. You know, invest in coaching. It's the area I see as a collective, as a culture that we'll invest in religion and churches. You know, regurgitating the same scriptures. No offense, grew up in the church and very religious, over and over. I think the church should become gardens and tracks and movement centers, but that's just me. That's my vision. In the mind of Body-Culinary. Because so we can get some leverage out of something tangible, which is why I say I prefer to come together around an activity. So anyway, the activity today I invite you to is just taking a moment for relaxation. This may seem overly simple, but we really can use visualization and be very intentional. Be intentional. Be intentional around your relaxation. Be intentional around just starting to be aware of your thoughts, because most of what we're doing is driven by the subconscious. So you're welcome to take a comfortable space on the floor. If you have issues with your back, you can sit up in a chair. Yeah, honey, whatever works. If it's working for you, then put them scriptures on. Whatever scriptures. I don't have an attachment to the package that is coming. Like I don't have an attachment to the label. Make the distinction. Find what resonates for you. I can find something inspirational out of every religion because it's the principles, not the people or the package. It's the principles. No one has carte blanche. No scripture has carte blanche on universal principles. The principles don't belong to any of us. Either we're in alignment or we're not in alignment. See, I like to get everything real simple. Frees up a lot of mental space. So if you have issues with your back, you're welcome to sit in a chair so that you can have your spine nice and long, especially your lumbar spine and your coccyx, right, which they also call the cuckoo's beak. So it's not arched. If you're arching, there's a bend in your spine that creates back pain. So you want to tuck the bowl of your pelvis, tuck it under, and you may need some support initially. Or if you have some yoga blocks, you can take and sit your glutes up on a yoga block. And if your hips are very tight, that will allow your hips to fall open. And so let's go to ashrams and meditation centers and all that. But you can keep things, the simpler we keep things, I think the better. Simple relaxation. Relaxation goes a long way. So we're just going to do some breathing. So we're sitting fully upright. You can take your belly button and gently pull it back in so it's touching. Think of it touching your back or touching your spine. That will help to throw your spine into alignment. You can take some shoulder rolls. So my shoulder is sore, but some shoulder rolls around, down, and back so that your shoulders are not rounded forward, that they're back. And make sure you don't have computer neck, that your chin is pulled in so that your cervical spine is not curled in. It's not here. So either one of these is not a straight spine because this is part of your spine that is nice and straight. Create a lot of space between your ear and your shoulder. And we're just going to do some breathing. So we're going to breathe in and out through the nose. There are different breathing techniques. We're going to breathe in and out through the nose, right? And I want you to kind of think of like either the sea right? Or seashell, if you know folks in the Caribbean, we were raised saying, people telling you to hold your ear to the conch shell. Or you can even think of Darth Vader. That's actually a really good example, right? Because the air is going to be rolling in the back of your throat. So we're going to be breathing very intentionally with control, but softly. Very, very deep, extremely deep in through the nose and out through the nose. And not from the chest, right? Because that's very shallow breathing. Your diaphragm is down here, right? So you want to breathe very deeply, right? So here we go. So you're welcome to bring your attention still to your rhythmic deep breathing. Notice if you feel a bit more relaxed. You can gently take notice of any thoughts that are coming up for you, criticisms, irritation in your back and your knees. You can make slow adjustments. The whole time, you're invited to just be very, very aware of the flow of the breath in and out. A lot of times we're not even connected to if we're breathing or if we're holding our breath. Sometimes it can be helpful to say one word or to just repeat it quietly in your own mind. You can repeat the word breathe or relax. And you can repeat it over and over. You can synchronize the word relax or breathe or relax and breathe. You can synchronize it with your breath. Sometimes it may be helpful to whisper it to yourself, and it can also be very helpful just to listen to it in your own mind of thought. You can take a moment to be aware of the external sounds around you, at the same time maintaining awareness of your breath. You're invited to focus on something that you are grateful for, something that brings a smile to your face. You can hold whatever that is that you're grateful for, hold it in your mind's eye, and to breathe with it. You're invited to sit in amazement at your own living, breathing, walking body temple, and to acknowledge it for being there for you, even though sometimes you may have overstuffed it or deprived it of sleep. Sometimes in ignorance we put it in harm's way. You're invited to acknowledge it or thank it however you want, even if in your own mind or thought. You can acknowledge it for always being there for you. Because how we feel about ourselves is really, really important. And actually, how we feel about ourselves has given us clues to a lot of the mindless consumption patterns. You're invited to scan your body from your toes to your ankles, to your calves, to your knees and behind the knees. Let me take a nice big deep inhale and exhale. And I invite you to enjoy the rest of your day. And you can actually make a decision, whatever's going on, you can actually decide to create, to cultivate a great day. Just because you said so. So I'm hoping that all of you make a decision to feed your body temple the most exquisite, colorful, water-rich, nutrient-dense fuel available. See, there we don't even need a label. Some beautiful food, something that's really pretty. It's got some fuchsia colors, other than it's just real color coming from nature to feed your arteries and your womb and your mood. Feed it some beautiful food. And I invite you to eat for vitality, to consume, not only just to eat here, but definitely here, here, and here. For vitality, for longevity, for your mood, and then for beauty, which is really health, right? We're all actually really beautiful when we're at our most healthy spirit. So y'all create a great day on purpose. You're invited to, if you get some value out of the channel, to you can give it a thumbs up for the algorithm and to share this perhaps with someone that could receive some benefit. If you need some support, I invite you, right? Some good ways to use this channel are to maybe perhaps set up your movement or your exercise mat and stretch while you listen to the videos, or you can cut up vegetables while you're listening. You can cut up vegetables, you can do some stretching, or one of my favorites is to replay these videos as you grab a drawer, your underwear drawer, or a drawer with your utensils from the kitchen, or some paper, and declutter. It's so wonderful. These are some simple practices we can do that really create a lot of space in the mind of thought, right? We got the brain and then we have the mind of thought. So y'all create a great day. Do check out Whole Living Foods in the Hood Part 1 with menus to fit your budget. You can find that guide to living and a way of consuming whole, fresh, living, unprocessed foods as a lifestyle. That's available on body-culinary.com, as well as Natural Beauty No Products. So again, while I love a full face of makeup, I really, as somebody that's had a lot of acne, I really like to be comfortable in my own skin, and it's whole, fresh, living foods that clear my skin up, not products over the drug counter or even from the health food store. It's the food first from the inside, and I do put food on my face and my scalp. So and then you'll see right before my hair lock, because I did not intend for my very fine hair to lock. Um, you can see the different foods I've been putting inside and outside of Natural Beauty No Products, and then there's Whole Living Foods that has all different kinds of shopping lists if you have different types of budgets and ideas on what to make with all that unprocessed foods. And you'll see some pictures of how I've been eating for many years, consuming living foods as a lifestyle. There's also Healthy Eating for Men. That's a webinar that's on bodyculinary.com. And on the calendar, it should be open now. If you go to register for the lunchtime classes, there's Common Sense Nutrition and Efficient Fitness. Those are lunchtime classes, so you may need to adjust depending on what time zone that you're in. In the early morning now, I will modify my own. But see, that's the good thing about corrective exercise. I know how to move around something. I will always get movement in because it's therapeutic. I'm not looking to jack myself up. But I always find something that I can do. And that's really good to know. If you have issues with your back, there may be a lot of corrective movements that you need to do. But everybody can do something. Joseph Pilates used to work with a lot of quadriplegics, right? And he said you can exercise without arms or legs. The father of Ashtanga Yoga, Patabi Joyce, used to work with a lot of people that were handicapped or had different types of injuries. So these people knew that you could work out even if you were injured, and then shout out to them, for having that type of patience. So y'all create a great day on purpose. Subscribe to the channel and support the channel if you like, and I will see you soon.